Hello everyone, in this video we're going to be looking at the very basics of how to record audio into Adobe Audition. So perhaps you've got a institution subscription, maybe you've got Premiere Pro, and you want to know how to use Adobe Audition alongside it. So how do we actually record into Adobe Audition? So first things first, we want to, if you get this alert pop up, it's basically just asking you, do you want to just check what hardware you've got? Is what you're going to record actually get recorded? Are you going to be able to hear it as it comes out your speakers? So as a general rule, I'd say yes. If you know what your settings are, just click no. But let's have a look at that. So the main things with this are just checking that your input is the same as wherever it is you're trying to record from. Now, what do I mean? I mean that if you've got like a microphone connected, perhaps with an audio interface, which is what I'm using today, just a basic audio interface, you want to just double check that it's actually selected that. So for me, the audio interface is this one here. But if you're not using an interface, perhaps you want to select built-in microphone. Okay. Now, same goes for outputs. For me, I'm using this audio driver to record this video. So for me, it has to be set to this. But again, if you're using an audio interface and you've got headphones plugged into that interface, perhaps using like a Scarlett box or a, like a PreSonus box, something like that, then you want to select that one and make sure that you can hear it coming out of there. If you don't have an audio interface or any of these things, select built-in output, that'll be fine. So it's just wherever you want to hear that audio coming back out at you. Okay, so input, make sure it's the input that your microphone is connected to. If you don't have a microphone separately and you're just using your computer's microphone, make sure it's selected as built-in microphone, and you should be fairly good to go. Now I'm going to slightly ignore these things down here, the buffer size. As a very quick overview, the bigger the number, the greater the latency, so the time it takes for your recording to be recorded. So the time it takes from it to go from your voice through the microphone, through the cables, and get recorded by Audition, the greater the time. Now you might think, well, why would anybody want it to take forever? The greater the number, usually the less intense it is on your computer's CPU. So if you're finding that your computer's struggling a bit and it's not recording properly, try increasing this number to see if it works that way. But just bear in mind that it's not going to be recorded exactly at the right time that you're perhaps speaking into your microphone. Okay. Sample rate, if you're recording with the intention of your audio to go to video, make sure this is 48 and above. 96 and above if you're intending on doing some sound design. And if you're intending on doing none of those, 44, 100 is probably fine. Okay. Go search some YouTube videos or go have a look online and research into that. I'll do a video on this at some point. But if you're not sure, leave the settings as they are, and you should be just fine. Okay, so once you've done that, once you've made sure that your inputs, your outputs are all in the right places, then what you're going to want to do is come up to File, click on New, and then we've got these two options here. We've got multi-track session and we've got audio file. So multi-track basically just means you're going to have more than one track that you record to. So if, for example, you've got a short film and you've got two characters, you would probably want a multi-track session to record one bit of dialogue, so one character on one channel and the dialogue on another channel for the other character. So two different channels. Okay. Now, if you're only recording one thing, perhaps like a solo instrument, or some Foley sound, something like that, or just a monologue, for example, then just select audio file. We're going to do that for today, and we'll do another video on multi-track session in a later video. Okay, so click audio file. As with most Adobe software, it likes you to give it a name first, so we're going to click this as Aud Test. Check your sample rate again. 48 is fine for me, but again, if it's anything else, just change it there and that's fine. Okay. Bit depth, I'm going to ignore that for now. If you're not sure, leave it as the default 32. Most people will probably be fine with 24. Okay, click OK. And then we get this screen here, which is the editor window in Adobe Audition. Okay, very similar in some ways to Premiere Pro. So if we just come down here to the bottom transporter section here, this should look very familiar to most people. You've got your stop, play, pause, return, rewind, fast forward, and so on. And then crucially, big red record button. Okay, and if you hover over them, you can see that you get the shortcuts there as well. So Shift plus space is to record. So let's do that. Assuming you've got all your inputs selected, your microphone set up, you should be good to go. Just a little side note, if you are using a condenser microphone, then you might need to turn on phantom power, in which case your audio interface should have a button that says something like plus 48 volts and a little button somewhere to turn that on. Make sure everything's connected up first before you turn that on, just to make sure that you don't cause any damage to your microphone or anything like that. If you're not using an interface and you're recording just with the built-in microphone, so built-in inputs and outputs, I would generally suggest that you use some kind of headphones just to avoid any unwanted feedback as well. Okay, anyway, let's click record. And there you can see it's recording in live. You can see the spectrogram here, which is this bottom one here, and the waveform up there. If you don't want to see the spectrogram down here, you can click this button up here and it just records the waveform in them. Okay, I quite like it though, so I'm going to leave it on. Okay, and then record what you need to record. As soon as you are done, you can click stop down here or spacebar. So let's click spacebar, and then the recording is stopped. Okay, if we come up and use this playhead here, we can hear me going in fast motion, and that shows us that it's actually recorded. Okay, so let's just click play, spacebar again. Okay, and then record what you need to record. As soon as you are done, great, and that is just fine. And that's how you record in basic audio into Adobe Audition. Okay, now if you're happy with your recording, you're like, yep, that's done, all done and dusted, then you're good to export. If it needs to be a little bit louder, you can adjust it here just to increase the loudness. If it's too loud, you can adjust it downwards, and that's just fine. I'm just going to leave it relatively the same. And then in order to export your file, you need to go down to File, Export, and then click on File here. And then it will take you through the process of saying, what do you want to call it? Where do you want to save it? All that kind of stuff. And that's that. That's how you record in audio, really basic audio into Adobe Audition. Any questions, anything like that, drop us a comment or a message and I'll try and get back to you. And apart from that, thanks for watching.